Hey guys, we are back for another week of Cyber Unfiltered. And Chris, I don't know where Matt is, but it's some shirt.
It's. I felt patriotic today.
I feel like he just lit off 14 mortars in the front yard, and it's the middle of the day. Yeah, sure.
No, that's okay.
We're here to entertain, so T-Rex up in the house.
The kids love it. What can I say?
You should wear that to like a national history museum where they actually have dinosaurs.
I think I'm gonna have to, and I don't know. I could really go out on some wackerdoodle limbs and talk about the times the dinosaurs were fighting the U.S. or just completely make crap up. See how it goes. I'm here to entertain.
I think you should say they were in the Revolutionary War. We'll leave that alone. Okay. I got three topics for today.
Only
I don't
three?
usually bring. I don't usually bring three. Well, I usually bring like one or two.
The three big ones, though.
But are we gonna get to three?
Yeah, we'll get to three. I'll try to keep us on. I gotta keep us on track, guys. Come on now. All right. First off, it's not really about hackers breaking down the door. There's an interesting story that just popped, and I think people should look at this. Grok. So that's XAI, that's SpaceX.
Mm-hmm.
They have a GrokBuild coding tool. Yeah, it was stealing people's GitHub repos and uploading it to Google Cloud. Whoops. GitHub repo is all of their code. So it was stealing their code. It apparently was stealing API keys, database passwords.
Did they say it was for educational purposes only?
No, but the response
their own education.
Yeah, the response was kind of funny. One of the people that found it is like basically said that GrokBuild is silently dumping 12 gigs of untouched repo data and full Git commits histories to Google Cloud Platform just to autocomplete a script. They don't want to help you build. They're just treating local dev environments like an open buffet for training. I'm like, dang, that is harsh.
So this was paid Grok accounts that people had out there that
were using their
Grok.
It's using their coding tool, but that kind of brings up the idea. We're telling people to turn off, don't use our data for training. Who else is doing this? How deep is this investment? Because OpenAI is not exactly having a great time with the last few months. You got Anthropic with Claude. Are they doing it? Microsoft has put out some weird warnings. So are we going to find out at some point that all the stuff where we've said it to not use our data for training was a lie, and so these companies are doing that? I'm just asking the question. I mean, we obviously don't know.
Well, we know on one now, though, which is a big one.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing. Yeah. Wow. So
time will tell, but I mean, when you pay for something and there's a certain matter of trust, that's bad. What can I say? But that's really bad, and that's a lot of data.
People are putting incredible, especially when you're coding. Like, if those keys get leaked, people can end up getting access to data that they shouldn't be getting access to. It's like terrifying that we're seeing a situation like that. So, SpaceX, XAI, whatever you call it at this point, hasn't really responded. I guess what they did is they pushed a change in the background that told it to basically not upload the stuff. And it's like, you just push that in the background on a server side. It's interesting.
It reminds me of Office Space, where Milton was paid for months or years or whatever due to a glitch. And we fixed the glitch. So they didn't really acknowledge the glitch, but they fixed the glitch.
Well, a lot of people, there might be enterprise users that have done this, and now in Grok to their point in XAI, so it's a glitch. They're talking about zero data retention, so ZDR, and they posted something. We care deeply about your privacy and respect customer choice. For teams using zero data retention, no trace and code data is ever retained. That's an interesting term. Ever retained?
Accessed but not retained.
Yeah. If ZDR is disabled, the /privacy command is available in the CLI to disable data retention, which also deletes previous sync data. Why are you syncing their data to begin with? And I think that's
why
what
did that flag that became true to false exist?
Yep. Yeah, when they flipped a flag that was disable underspace code base underspace upload. They flipped it to true before that, silently in the background. So it seems like an oopsie. I don't think the default should be uploading code. I think that's a little silly. I'm sure people are, gonna revolt a little bit about this. But
Get your pitchforks. Here we go.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of stealing.
It's absolutely
That's what people kind of feel like. So again, Matt, like when trading opt out is on, we expect it to be on, right?
Absolutely, especially if I'm paying for it. And that's one reason you pay for these instead of using free things and smaller free things.
So I wonder what do you think the fallout will be from this? Because I don't know who uses GrokBuild, but I'm sure some enterprises do, which means enterprise secrets could be leaked, could be
Well, here's the question. I'm not sure what the pricing model is or where it is on Grok right now, but you might get enterprise developers that have just paid for it themselves and it's sitting out there. So you got the shadow IT guys that has just dropped the code base.
That's a good point. Know your service providers, people. Know who you're using. Because when something like this comes out, you might want to make a choice to whether you stay with them or not. And we'll see what the fallout is. This is probably going to be some lost deals. I'm sure lawsuits are going to be pending.
It'll be a fun one to follow.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting story. I don't know. That's not the type of story you want on your company as you're trying to expand your AI, and that's part of your valuation, things like that too. So
yeah, loss of trust is a big one in that world.
Yeah.
There's not many options.
No, but there's more than one. So next we'll leave that alone. Next story. There's a company in Germany, and this is a sad one. They're a textile finishing company called Zigo. They had 60 employees.
Can you say the whole thing for me?
I can't say the whole thing. There's a long name to this, and it's Zigo. They had 60 employees. They do embroidery, sewing, and printing for workwear brands. They had a cyber attack in March. It was so bad it froze their production for 6 weeks, and it was more than the company could absorb. And now they're filing for insolvency, which is their version of like Chapter 11 bankruptcy, from my understanding. I could be wrong on that, but that's what it sounds like. It says it hopes to keep running while administrators restructure, but the filing itself is real. This is not even 4 months later. They're out of business, right? They may survive because of restructure and stuff like that, but like this is a cautionary tale. We keep talking about this. It's a small manufacturer. I mean, 60 people is a lot, but like, let's be real, that's a small in the manufacturing world. So, Bob, what do you think? What do you think the number of days that a manufacturer could be down before it's an existential risk to the business?
It's not many days, that's for sure, because all these manufacturers now are really implementing just-in-time supplying, and we saw it with Jaguar that the upstream effect of people getting hurt. So I would say it's a matter of not maybe 1, maybe 2 days tops, because all these suppliers are manufacturing just in time, and they got commitments to fill too.
Specifically in auto, if they can't deliver a part in a certain time frame, there are huge penalties to it, because if they shut a line down, there are massive penalties in that.
Then the question, you shut a line down, how long does it take to restart that line?
Right. Well, that's where the penalties come in, right? I know somebody specifically that they took a line for one of the big three here down for 15 minutes, and the penalty was $500,000.
My goodness. I imagine that cascades too, because if one thing's not getting supplied, the line's down, other suppliers aren't getting the same amount of orders. This spider webs, I would imagine.
But that's also why a lot of industries are pushing out cyber requirements for their partners, right?
Mhm.
So when you're tier 1 and you go to tier 2, tier 3 in the auto industry, they're pushing down more and more cyber security requirements and just cyber resilience requirements for their partners, because like if I'm making a part for GM and I have 3 other companies that I need to get whatever from to make this, like let's say it's a seat or whatever, and I have like 3 other suppliers that are supplying me stuff, they have to keep supplying me stuff. Like to your point, Matt, if they don't, I can't make my seat. I can't deliver my seat. Oops. So now I'm on the hook, and now I'm going to try to hold them on the hook, and it's a cascading effect. And that's just manufacturing. But yeah, 60 people. Hopefully this ends up in a more positive situation, and hopefully they learn from it.
Mhm.
And I mean, historically, manufacturing, from my perspective, from my history, not exactly on top of things from a cyber perspective. They don't care. Some do, a lot
Tends
don't.
to be slow moving with some older machines,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
things are moving faster. I mean, I also want to say it, things are moving faster, and
Yeah.
that industry doesn't always move fast.
And Bob kind of gave us a little peek at the final one. We're going to talk about Jaguar Land Rover again. We only talked about this for like 2 months last year.
Little
And-
foreshadowing worked in there.
But the
It's
funny part is,
back.
the New York Times just covered this. So
Wow.
we talked about this last year because this happened like July 31st, and it really popped. It really came up in August 1st that they were hit, and the New York Times just apparently got 4 people to talk who shouldn't have been talking. But we now have the total estimates on the economic damage in the UK economy: $2.5 billion, 1.9 billion pounds. That comes from the Cyber Monitoring Center. That was the economic impact to the UK economy, and it was directly $350 million to Jaguar Land Rover. And that's to today. That doesn't necessarily mean that's not going to go further. It rippled through more than 5,000 companies
Oof.
in their supply chain.
Yep.
It was bad enough that the UK did a $1.5 billion pound loan guarantee to keep their supplier base alive. And the Bank of
Boom.
England has blamed slower GDP growth for the UK on this.
One company.
It's a national economic event.
Oops.
They had a total of over 5 weeks of frozen production. We know that they came back on slowly too, from when we were covering this. But 5,000 suppliers. I didn't know the true number until now. This allegedly was a Russian attacker. I'm going to say allegedly. We're going to keep saying allegedly. A Russian attacker. Apparently, they used a ransomware version that nobody had ever seen. Allegedly. Yep. And during this attack, Microsoft actually had been tracking the ransomware group out of Russia and alerted Jaguar to who had breached their systems. But yeah, they had a novel ransomware with an encryption algorithm that experts had never seen in previous attacks. And in one quote called it mind-blowing. They had a war room set up, allegedly. And there were cybersecurity investigators, private sector experts. So that included Britain's National Crime Agency, the National Cybersecurity Center, as well as Palo Alto Networks and Google's Mandiant Group, and the FBI.
Some seriously big players.
They were racing to contain the malware. Yep. This was, this is obviously a targeted attack. Russia obviously saying that they had nothing to do with it. But there's a lot of groups that we know there's a lot of groups in Russia and stuff like that. So yeah. But yeah, it became a national economic problem. So Matt, how crazy is it that one company caused the GDP for an entire country to slow down? And what does that say just about how fragile the just-in-time delivery model in manufacturing really is?
Well, it's incredible. And we've kind of seen that happen in the US before, but not for the same reason. You know, when the big three were really suffering and there were some bailouts, and I don't want to go to the politics of it, but when you've got something that big that an economy relies on, I don't think we've ever seen one being a technological cause like this that actually shifts, you know, such a major thing. I mean, we started learning about GDP in what, fourth, fifth grade? You know, it's kind of this company rating, really big thing. So for malware to basically be so targeted and so sophisticated and them to not have a backup plan to cause that, it's insane. But to the bigger part of your question, the just-in-time manufacturing, you know, financially, it always makes sense, because why do you want to hold on to more, you know, more materials than you need, more manufactured stock than you need?
Yeah.
But also that makes you more susceptible. So I think you talked months ago, almost a year ago, about, is this going to shift things? Is it going to shift practices? And I'm really curious to see how that plays out because of it.
Well, I want to add to that, though, with the global supply chain, the way that we work. And I know there's a lot of people out there that hate the global supply chain, but the reality is that's what it is. And it's not just a cyber event that can cause this, a weather event.
Yeah, it could be anything. You know, I was thinking,
Yeah,
I was thinking
right.
storms, or even lack of rain for crops.
An earthquake, a typhoon, like anything in Southeast Asia, especially for like chips or like source material. Let's say you're manufacturing outside of there, like that could cause complete chaos. So I'm with you on that. Like, I don't think the just-in-time thing has been solved. I think it's a great theory, but there's so many things that can affect the supply chain now. I'm not sure it's the right answer. But I'm also not an economist, and I don't play one on TV. So and this is for educational and actually, instead of for entertainment purposes only. We'll go with that. But for the small suppliers in JLR's supply chain, they did nothing wrong, right? This wasn't on them. What could they have possibly done to not go down with the ship? Bob, what do you think about that?
The only thing they could have done is having a diversified client base. You know, not selling direct, not relying 100% of their revenue on Jaguar. It's the only thing they could have done.
Are you when you're talking to, let's stick on the manufacturing base here because this is good. When you're talking to manufacturers today, are they showing you that they're worried about that?
No, it's never come. It hasn't come up on a couple of the manufacturers I talked to.
So my world has, but it's not because of cybersecurity. It's all because they don't trust the auto industry. they because the auto industry is so fragile that they don't trust that that's the thing they should keep relying on for all of the revenue. I actually met a company once.
Interesting.
That was doing 98% of their business with GM. And yet they didn't care about cybersecurity. They didn't care about updating their systems or anything like that. And I'm like, what would happen if GM just fired you? This is a $25 million company. And they were like,
they can't fire me.
We'd be dead. Yeah, that's kind of like what he said. I'm like, well, no, they can fire you tomorrow because they can just go find somebody else. 98% of his work, the money coming into that company was from GM. Insane.
That's nothing plus.
No, and these poor GL, you know, these JLR supply chain. I mean, it's probably the same thing, but you got to talk about business continuity planning. So, like, how much cash do you have? How long can you run without your major customer? If you have customer concentration, how long can you run without them?
Well, and also with skilled staff, you know, I mean, this is skilled labor, which is not always easy to work into your production timelines. Let's say you have to let some go or furlough some and hope they come back. It's kind of rebuilding once you ramp up again. That's significant.
So let's add one more piece to this. Let's cover NIST for a second. Let's talk about the recovery function. And that talks a little bit about business continuity planning. But here's the question. Is it more important to focus on how fast can we get back up or is it more important to focus on how do we keep them out?
That's a hard one.
in the recovery world, it would play how fast can we come back up, but where do you spend your money?
It's all together. We have to do both. They have to do both. And, if you can keep them out, you never have to worry about recovery, but that's not realistic in this market.
But if you're sitting across the table from somebody and they have a limited budget, which one did they focus on?
I might get reprimanded here, but I would argue recovery first, if that's all that's in the budget, and then work towards keeping out. Because if you don't have recovery in place, you don't have a company to recover.
That's a good point. Also, what is the probability that you're going to be hit?
Yes. Just yes.
Are there simple things that we can do to reduce that probability of an attack while we focus the money on how do you recover?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I tend to agree with you there. I mean, we know that not everybody has unlimited budgets. Very few companies have unlimited budgets. So we have to play within the parameters that we're given, right? So we covered a lot. We covered Grok allegedly stealing data. Not great. GrokBuild, not Grok that you're using on your phone that's unhinged sometimes and will tell you random things, but and create pictures that shouldn't. But it's a big question for the AI industry. Like this is like a violation of trust that, hey, you know what? It's probably going to bring more scrutiny towards that industry. Zigo, hopefully they recover. It's a small company. This can happen anywhere. Jaguar Land Rover, the story that won't die. I still can't believe that New York Times just covered this. It's almost a year later. I think they covered it at the end of what was the article date I saw? End of June, maybe. I'll find it. I think it was it was the end of June. It was 11 months post attack.
You're saying they didn't cover anything about Jaguar until then?
Well, they released an expose basically from 4 people talking about it. It was
they
11 months after it happened.
They like acknowledged it happened, but they didn't really. There wasn't much info there, right?
But this is a story that not very many people have talked about. We talked about a lot, but like I have not seen that outside of like Europe. I have not seen that story covered much here because people just. I don't know if it's not like it's not a sexy news story, which is probably what it really is. It's just it. I don't know if people don't believe it can happen here. I'm not sure why these things don't get talked about, because this is such an easy one to translate, especially to the Midwest where I'm at, where auto rules the day. If this happened to like one of the big 3 here, the cascading effect would be catastrophic to the region.
Absolutely.
And it'd probably be more than 5,000 companies. I don't even know how many companies it would be at that point. And it would affect Canada, because a lot of the big 3 still do a lot. Well, even though the tariffs have kind of hurt that and caused some issues there, but Canada's still a big player in this. So it would hurt 2 countries. How would it affect our GDP? Probably not. Would it affect Canada's GDP? Absolutely. Absolutely. So
It could, though. I'd argue that if there's some other factors going on and some other instability, possibly that could be. Think of 2008 and how certain little things added up. So we don't know. I hope we never find out. But
we can have a really fun conversation about economics and why saving 40,000 jobs may have not been the move to make, because that's all it was.
Too big to fail.
Yeah, and there's more to it than that. There was the insurance industry and stuff like that, but but it's a choice. It's a choice that the government chose to do. And in my region, again, it helped. It helped tremendously. There's a lot of smaller companies here that would have been gone, and it's a decision that needs to be made. But again, what are you doing as a small company if you're dealing with these bigger companies? What are you doing if they're 80% of your revenue? You got to diversify. You got to diversify. You got to find another vertical to be in, or other customer base, something like that. So,
different widget to make just to get by.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the same boat, right? Like if we got a big client that's too big of our revenue, like it's a problem. it's a really good problem for a part of it, but it's a really bad problem if they leave and you've scaled your business to a point of just appeasing to one customer. So think about that, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you have any topic that you want us to talk about, let us know. If you hate Matt's shirt, you love Matt's shirt, let us know. If you want Matt to get a bandana to go along with that and ride a Harley, let us know. This is very important things that we need to know.
I've got my license. Bring it on. I've been on a bike for a decade. That'd be pretty funny to try. You know, get my injury on video.
I was gonna say you two are the most injury prone people I've ever met in my life. Maybe this is not a good idea. Although I'll leave you with this. I saw a scooter that had big tires on it that could go 90 miles an hour.
That's terrifying.
Why would you ever do that?
Stand up scooter.
Yeah. So risk management practices 101, people. Do not get a scooter that can go 90 miles an hour. It's probably not going to end well for you. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.